and welcome back everyone. I hope you guys are doing well. Today I want to share with you my favorite bedtime fragrances because yes, I do indeed wear perfume to bed every single day. Generally speaking, fragrances on me personally have the ability to change my mood and my mindset, my overall emotional state in a matter of seconds. And before I go to bed, I particularly want to emphasize this already tired feeling after a long day and feel really relaxed. Let my thoughts be at peace and envelop myself in a gorgeous fragrance. I went through my collection and sorted out the perfumes that I see myself going back to most, and I want to show them today. So I hope you guys are interested in these. And without further ado, let's get into it. I'm quite sure that I have never mentioned my first favorite, whether it be on YouTube or on my Instagram, where by the way, I'm mostly active. And in case you're interested in following me there, the link is down below. It's just one of these fragrances that evoke particular nostalgia memories of my mother's powder case or her powder makeup in general. It's just this very particular fragrance that this old makeup, so to speak, has. It kind of also reminds me of a super luxurious, high quality makeup powder from the 1950s. Utterly beautiful. That's like the best word that I could come up with to describe the fragrance by Lorenzo Villoresi, Teint de Neige. I have the Eau de Parfum concentration. Teint de Neige translates into the color of snow. It's straight up powder. It's quite the linear fragrance, so it doesn't develop into anything at all. It just gets a little bit warmer with the heat of the skin. Basically, this is liquid powder in a bottle in the best way possible. It has this certain freshness to it. It's quite powdery. It's a little bit musky, like white musk in the background without being animalic whatsoever. Yet it doesn't smell dry or dusty or chalky. Super warming to the soul. It's like this fuzzy blanket. This is the only analogy that I that I can mention when it comes to feeling particularly snuggly, is a warm fuzzy blanket. And this is one of these fragrances that make me sleep like a baby. This is Lorenzo Villoresi, Teint de Neige. My second favorite had been quite the surprise for 2020, to be honest, besides Corona, obviously, but I never honestly anticipated to even remotely like a fragrance by this house. Up until this point, I have finally found one that I even truly have gotten obsessed with, and therefore it was a blind purchase, but I did not regret it whatsoever. And I'm talking about LUSH Sappho. By the way, this is a limited edition that you can only get online. Obviously, LUSH are known for natural ingredients, whatever that means, but you can definitely tell by smelling the fragrance that a lot has gone into it. A lot of really high quality natural materials that made this fragrance like really different smelling to all of the other LUSH fragrances that I was in contact with. You definitely have to be a lover of vintage fragrances in order to like Sappho. Almost like an old library in the top notes, but after you let it dry for, I'd say, around about 10 to 15 minutes, it becomes balsamic, powdery, woody, and slightly sweet, yet really smooth and warm, and it just gets better with time. I mostly smell tobacco, sandalwood, and orris, and there is an after inkling of vanilla in the background, but after like 20 minutes it only starts to show its head, so to speak. This is Sappho by LUSH. I'm going to continue with this mammoth bottle of a fragrance that is almost the size of my face. It contains 250 ml of one of the most glorious dupes of one of my all-time favorite fragrances by the House of Guerlain, which is called Spirituous Double Vanille. And I'm talking about the house of Couvent des Minimes Eau de Mission. The only main difference that I see to Guerlain's fragrance is that it's more spicy, it has more depth to it, it's more complex, but also at the same time it is an eau de parfum. This one is an eau de cologne, so it has to be on the weaker side, obviously, and it's also not as complex. However, the similarities between these two fragrances are really, really close. So this is a boozy vanilla, benzoin, and woody notes fragrance. That's it. The vanilla in here is not sweet and super cloying that to some it can evoke headaches. It's very high quality, really, really well blended. It's just one of these fragrances that warm you from the inside like a good rum. I'd say imagine Spirituous Double Vanille as a body mist and you have Eau de Mission. So if you don't want to splurge on the Guerlain fragrance, I would definitely suggest for you to go for Eau de Mission, although this one has been discontinued, as everything I love, but you can still get this online for a really affordable price. So this was Couvent des Minimes Eau de Mission. I mean, I have to mention the next fragrance, and I do see it popping up on a lot of people's channels, which I absolutely understand because it is indeed a great cheap fragrance that envelops every gourmand lover's heart. Jessica Simpson Fancy. I talked about this fragrance in my first video of 2020, where I sorted out my cheapest fragrances, and this one was one of them. I think I paid around 20, maybe 22 euros. I see it on offer all the time. I'm sure you can get it for even less, but it is such a well-made celebrity fragrance. It's a potent, sweet gourmand that has a perfect combination of caramel, toffee, almonds, and vanilla. It's really comforting and warm. And again, it envelops you in this sweet, delicious blanket of a fragrance. It's edible. If you happen to be a gourmand lover as myself, then I would consider Jessica Simpson Fancy as a safe blind buy. And although I keep mentioning this about pretty much all of my fragrances, my next favorite is a particularly unique gourmand. I have never stumbled upon anything like this before, although I do have fragrances that target towards the same note. This one just doesn't smell like all of the other ones, and therefore I have never found a dupe for this fragrance, although I would love to. The glorious, the wonderful PROVUMUM ROMA SORRISO. Sorriso translated means smile. It is considered to be a chocolatey gourmand fragrance. However, I mostly get pickled raisins in rum, and like super expensive old rum. So it has this boozy character to my nose. It is a very sweet, rich, sticky, luxurious dark chocolate melting into bitter orange and vanilla that sits in a soft woody base. It only starts to develop into a chocolatey fragrance after around about, I don't know, 15 minutes on my skin. Before that, I only smell boozy pickled raisins and I love it. I love fragrances like this. It's quite authentic and a real life dark chocolatey fragrance, which at the same time is one of the truest to definition gourmands that I have in my collection. I love it. So this was PROVUMUM ROMA SORRISO. Moving on to the brainchild of Mona Katan. She's the sister of Huda from Huda Beauty, and she created her own fragrance line called KAYALI. I have vanilla number 28, and oh boy, did she create a monster of a warm, sexy, decadent, inviting, and cozy fragrance. Oh, it's so good. I cannot get enough of it. I mean, while we're talking about it, it contains brown sugar, vanilla, tonka bean, orchid, amber, musk, and jasmine. And I can smell all of these notes perfectly blended in this glorious feminine fragrance. I wear this for any occasion, any time and place. It works beautiful with everything, not just bedtime. This was KAYALI Vanilla number 28. I had the next fragrance on my wish list for quite some time, and I have no idea why I have just very recently have come around to purchasing it, considering it's a super affordable, dare I say, extremely cheap fragrance that is just amazing. It's definitely a steal and I can highly recommend it. Yet again, another recommendation from Amy Loves Perfume. This is Mariah Carey M. I mean, yes, the bottle screams teenage fragrance, may suggest that it smells extremely cheap. This one is a rather complex floriental fragrance that smells really warm and sensual, alluring even. On me, it opens up with this rather fresh and breezy C note without being considered too aquatic, because I don't like aquatic fragrances at all. Roundabout after 10 minutes, it develops into this lovely, creamy, white floral with this glorious marshmallow accord waiting at the very end that at the same time rounds up the entire fragrance and turns it into this somewhat toasted, warm, and woody floral fragrance. This perfume is really unique, feminine, and kind of timeless, I have to say. It's really, really lovely. You can wear this for any occasion. Mariah Carey M. 2 fragrances to go, and I specifically saved the best for last. They are unique on their own, yet they share a few similarities, and both of these are essentially rose-heavy fragrances. And the first one was also made by the genius of fragrances, my ultimate favorite perfumer, Francis Kurkdjian. He made a luxurious line for the house of Elisab, and this one is called Essence Number 1 Rose. And it's all that. It's just different kind of roses and rose oils combined. It has no freshness to it whatsoever. It's literally quite heavy and powdery, yet in the best way possible. And in my humble opinion, I'm going to say it here and now, to me, this is one of the best, if not the best, rose fragrance that I have ever encountered. Last but not least, you might already know if you have seen my cheapy fragrances. I've already talked about this fragrance as well. It is my number 1 all-time favorite bedtime fragrance, and I'm talking about this beautiful juice from More called Marshmallow. It's the ultimate sweet Turkish delight confectionery type of fragrance that, as I said in my last video before, see Marie Antoinette using in her boudoir. It has this vintagey vibe to it without smelling dusty or dry. This is super thick, sweet, sugary, liquidy roses in a little bit of a musky base. It is amazing. Yet again, to me, this is quite unique. I have nothing in my collection that smells even remotely like it. This is Marshmallow by More. And yet again, this video happened to be quite long. I'm not sure what format you guys prefer, whether you like only very condensed, short content up to 5 minutes, or do you prefer longer content? I leave it up to you. Leave your preferences down below. I would love to know that, as well as your favorite bedtime fragrances. I wish you guys a beautiful day. Stay healthy, and until the next time, bye.